Biggest one I'm seeing people trip up right now is the rules around owner compensation. So owners actually need to be treated differently, even if they're owner employees and they're paid on payroll just like all the other employees. Owners are treated differently than regular employees. And this guidance came out, I think, after really the PPP money was starting to flow and questions started coming in to say, hey, can I give my managers or can I give my owners bonuses? Is this a possibility? Can I just use all of this as bonuses to pay owners because they had to let all their employees go? And the big answer was no. You can't do that. This was not the point of the PPP money. Remember, it was to keep employees employed. So really, they came up with these rules to help avoid owner windfalls. That's not the point of this money. So, but they do say, hey, yeah, obviously we want owners still need to be compensated. They still need to get paid. So let's include them in PPP, but we're going to put some limits on it. Okay, so this is actually, we're going to launch our next polling question because one of the ways they're determining this owner compensation is based on your tax status. So we're going to go ahead and launch that. We're going to say, like, what is your entity type right now? So if you can plug that in, that would be great. And so when we're looking at owner compensation, we actually have to go back to 2019. So if you were paying yourself, let's say you were paying yourself a salary in 2019, that's going to be used as the maximum limit of what you can claim on the PPP in 2020. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of like S Corps and C Corps, which is kind of what I expected. A couple sole proprietors and partnerships. Okay. So when we're looking back for sole proprietors and partnerships, we're going to be looking at your 2019 tax returns to establish your basis of what you can claim as your compensation in 2020 under the PPP. And then for S Corps and C Corps, your owners should be on W-2 wage. You should have a W-2 wage. So you need to look at their W-2s from 2019 to use those as a maximum. All right. So what we're going to do there, we also have a cash compensation limit, same like we have with employees. Remember that nobody can get paid more than $100,000 in an annualized salary. Okay. So even if you paid yourself $200,000 last year, and then you paid yourself, $150,000 this year on W-2 wages, it doesn't really matter. You still have to cap last year's wages at $100,000. Okay. Now, the other thing that they're doing, which is kind of interesting. So if you took an 8-week covered period, you can take 8 weeks of pay for yourself as an owner. But if you take the 24-week covered period, unfortunately, as an owner, you don't get to take 24 weeks of compensation under the PPP. You can only take 2.5 months. Now, if you were an employee, you could take all 24 weeks of compensation, even if you were at $100,000. So that if you take $100,000 salary, you divide it by 52, you multiply it times 24, we're actually looking at $46,000 that you could claim under the PPP. But for owners, the maximum compensation we can have is $20,833. Okay, because that we can only take 2.5 months. Okay, this is another way to kind of prevent that windfall. Now, the kind of good news is that if you are maybe an S Corp or a C Corp and you own less than 5% of the entity, you can be treated as an employee. So that's kind of a little loophole that I'm not sure everybody knew about.